Howdy on Woodlock's Lives. I think it's time to play a little 7 Days to Die. Alright, we are approaching Horde Night 56. Steel, right? Steel was the thing that I was after. Steel. Oh man, I need clay. Alright. Let me unload this cement stuff though. And we'll go get some clay. Because I think that's about the last thing I need prep-wise. Well, this giant opening here looks like it could use some support in it, maybe. Lost in my own base. There we go. So, I don't think we talked about last week's D&D episode. I feel like I recorded different last week. I was going to do it again this week, but people wouldn't leave me alone all weekend. Seemed like every time I opened a program to record, someone would be down here. Or I would be getting ready to record and they'd be like, yeah, I'll be right down to do something. And then I'd wait and they wouldn't show up. And then by the time I realized they weren't showing up after they said they were, it was too late. And I was already into something else. Ugh, people. Yeah, last week's D&D session was the other guys as DM. And, yeah, nothing really crazy happened with any of the combat or anything. Uh, I mean, beyond his... These guys are clearly, invisible to you guys, even though you're in the same room, and they're not invisible, and they didn't hide, but you just don't see them. Stuff that he pulls from time to time. Or these are on the map and you see them, but let me reposition them because I don't like where they're at, now that you've entered the room. He did that a couple times, but the only real thing that happened was at the end of the game. And maybe I did talk about this. I can't remember. But that was when we went to do our XP at the end of the night. We have learned not to tell him how much XP we actually have, because he changes the amount we're supposed to get based on how much XP we have. Which is wrong. It's just, it's not okay. It we went through this whole thing. What he wants. I mean, it's his game, but he agreed to playing with what's called, I don't know what it's called. He agreed to playing where we get experience points when we do stuff. The problem is that the only thing he gives us experience points for is when we kill something. Uh, and that's not how the game is supposed to work. You're supposed to get experience points for anything that would be an experience, right? You solve a puzzle, you pick a lock, you find something new, right? I mean, there's they call them the pillars of role playing, I think. And so there's lots of different ways to get experience usually. Not with him though. If you don't kill it, you don't get XP. And so I was gonna shut that off. I left my mail program open. And so when we get to the end of a session, and the only way for us to advance our character levels is through killing things, and then we do the killings, and then he decides that he doesn't want us to get that much experience, he reduces the amount of experience that he tells us that we earned. Because the book that we're using has two different setups for the game, right? There's uh, there's experience, like we're playing, where everything that you fight is worth experience. Places you go, things you do should be worth some experience. And then the other way is called milestone. And so milestone is when you complete a major arc, which usually falls pretty close to experience, but sometimes you do go up a level in the middle of go up a level in the middle of a dungeon, or in this case, a dungeon floor. And so sometimes that happens. It's not a big deal. But he hates us going up levels because if we go up levels, we get stronger. And if we get stronger, then it makes it easier for us to have options to fight back against the bad guys. If we fight back against the bad guys, he won't be able to kill us. But he hasn't been able to kill us pretty much ever. And that infuriates him. I think especially now that one of his characters died while I was DMing, which we've talked about. It was, you know, if he just played his character the same way every time, it would have maybe have been different. But we talked about this a little bit last night. The fact that at that moment in time, every time we played, with him as that character, he would change how that character acted. And so we're getting ready to start Starfinder campaign. And so when the Starfinder campaign starts, I told them I wanted them to lock down what their character was before we started, because I don't want any of this. Every session, the character is a different character. What I mean by that is one session, he says his thief is a thief with a heart of gold, and he only you know, lockpicks and stuff in dungeons. He doesn't rob from people, right? And then the next session, he's like, my guy's all about treasure, and so he breaks into this guy's place and steals from him, and which led to some interesting changes in the campaign. And then And then the next session, he's like, this isn't getting anything done here. I mean, was really waiting for. Let's get this cement, I guess, and get down there and do that. I was really waiting for some steel, but it's going to take a long time for that clay to get in there. I want the steel to reinforce my pillars. I can cement these in. And so the next session, he's like, my guy is super careful. And so then he, now this is like the fourth dungeon for this campaign. He'd never done it before, and he never did it after. But for that one session, I accidentally did not turn on Fog of War for our virtual tabletop, which means you can't see areas you haven't been in yet. And he saw the map. And so because he saw the map, he saw some hidden rooms. And because he saw the hidden rooms, his guy was suddenly the most careful trap searcher you'd ever seen. And so he was suddenly like, my guy lays on the floor and draws his knife, and he inches his way along the wall, probing ahead of him with his knife, looking for traps. And when he comes to this tapestry hanging on the wall, he's going to pause and listen to hear if he hears any breathing coming from behind the wall, behind the tapestry. I'm like, okay, roll your checks then. Now he's going to slide the blade behind the tapestry and carefully pull it away from the wall. That kind of stuff. I'm just like, yep, we know. You saw there was a room there, buddy. And then the next session, Mr. I'm Careful runs headlong into a room full of flying swords that were a trap, and then nobody could get to him before he died. And so his character died. I'm just like, yep, that's not going to happen in the next game. I mean, I'm sure that kind of stuff will happen in our Starfinder campaign, but I at least want them to lock down who their character is, because the other incidents we had, which I think was my favorite, was that we got to a altar that I totally went off on a big tangent from talking about the game last week. But we got to this altar, and the altar could only be opened by good characters, and none of them who had entered, whether their character was good or not. And it's not good; it's selfless. I D&D has that mislabeled. Good characters are not good in a sense of good and evil. Good characters are characters who help other people, which is a good thing, right? But it's not like on a cosmic good versus evil, light versus darkness sense. It's just, are you a good guy or are you a selfish guy, right? Are you helpful or are you all in it for yourself? And so I really think that good and evil needs to be relabeled as selfless and selfish. And but so none of them had labeled their character as good, and the character that he was playing at that time had never done anything good. I mean, yes, they help people out, but they're expecting rewards for that. That doesn't count as good. And then when they were in town, he had opportunities to be good, but he also like betrayed people and spent most of his downtime huddled in his room working on a magic bag. And so I'm just like, he's like, well, usually I make my characters good, and I'm like, well, A, we've discussed this before. None of your characters have ever been good, regardless of what you label them. And B, No, your character has not done anything that I would consider good. Uh, and so they couldn't ultimate the altar, and that was driving him crazy. So after the session, I just told him what it was. It was hilarious. It wasn't anything big. It was a little bit of gold and one magic item that protected you from disease. I mean, sure, it'd be nice to have in a campaign that could potentially, in the future, if we play it again, lead to disease, riddled, stuff. I don't know how much steel is required to do these pillars, but I'm pretty sure I've got one. I mean, I've got a lot of pillars that need to be steeled up, and that's not going to get done before darkness falls here pretty quick. But I did want to try and get these. Oh, it's only 10. Okay. Okay. Get those at least doubled up there a little bit. With the steels to see if that would help. Better check to make sure the gas is filled, because we are about to start Horde Night here. So yeah, it was crazy. Anyway, so back to the other game. So we get to the end of the night, and he goes, "How much XP do you have?" And I was like, "Oh, we still got quite a bit to go to get to our level." And we did have quite a bit to go to get to our level. Oh, I don't have any backup gas. Oh, here we go. Make sure these are filled with fuel. Make sure I'm out. Oh, actually, you know what? I do like to do my Horde Night from down here. Actually, the next level down here. Try and make sure these guys get in the blades. And so yeah, I was like, quite a bit. And the other guy goes, "Yeah, we're not really close to our level. We needed 3,800 XP." To give you an idea, most of the guys that we fought that evening were worth 50 XP. And so, or that's not true. That's not true. Most of the guys we had fought the previous session with him were worth 50 XP. And so I think we only got like 1,300 or something the previous week. And then this week we fought a bunch of guys who were higher level. At least half the guys we fought were worth 50 XP again this week. So 3,800 is a lot if you're going at 50 XP. But we fought some bigger things last night, and so I was expecting a bigger payout XP wise. I wonder if I should replace some of these with. Okay, I'm going to do something stupid. I wasn't sure that would work. And so, I was like, man, maybe we did enough tonight because we fought some pretty big guys. And big guys can be worth a lot. And it's like maybe we might not get all the way there, but I'll bet we get close to half of, maybe a little over half of the way to our next level here. So I was expecting like, 3,000 XP, maybe, somewhere in there. And then the other guy, is also like, Yeah, it's a long way yet. We got quite a long way to our next level. And then the other guy is like, yeah, we need 3,800 XP. And as soon as he says that, our DM goes, oh, well, you guys get like 2,300 XP for tonight. No, you know what? You know what? I'll make it 2,500. And I'm like, wow, that was really quick, I'm thinking. Because usually it takes him forever to calculate XP. And, yeah, I looked it up afterwards. And I'm like, dude, like after the DM left, I was like, dude, you can't tell him. You can't tell him how much we've got left. He can't know that because if he knows, he doesn't give us our XP. Just like he just did. And so yes, we should have had slightly over 4,000 XP for the evening, and he gave us 2,300. Which infuriates me because we agreed that XP would be the method we use to go up levels. Therefore, if we earn the XP, we should get the XP. We're not doing leveling. He doesn't give us XP for exploration. He doesn't give us XP for learning things. He doesn't give us XP for succeeding on skills. We only get XP for killing. And so when he doesn't give us the XP for killing, I hate it. Because what's the point? What's the point of saying, "Oh yeah, we're gonna use the XP for leveling like you guys want," if he doesn't do that and instead just basically does his milestone leveling that he really likes, albeit he does it by not giving us the amount of XP because we're supposed to not reach the next level until the next floor, and therefore he should short us on the XP for this floor so that we aren't level 14 on a floor where we're supposed to not get to level 14 until halfway through the next floor. But levels don't make that big a difference in D&D. Yes, you get more stuff, but he acts like it's the difference between I don't know, nuclear bomb and a machine gun, and it's not. It's like my guy gets an extra 8 hit points, right? We're being hit for like 42 points of damage sometimes. My guy gets an extra 8 hit points. You act like that's the end of the world? No. No, it's not. In fact, I think this level, I play 2 characters because there's only 3 of us, or 4 of us, and he's playing the DM. I offered to give up one of my characters so he can continue playing his guy, but he opted to. I think I only got enough for, yeah. He opted to only play a single character. Oh, 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 oh. My game feels the zombies spawning in here. And so the other guy is playing a character instead of his character going through. That's right, guys. Come and get me. Come and get me. Oh, shoot. Something's getting me. I'm pretty sure that's why my building fell apart last time. Because I just used rebar blocks and didn't fill them in with cement. And I think maybe... What is... Oh. That's... The heck is that thing? Sheesh. Pretty sure that right there is what happened. That guy took a lot of bullets, whatever that was. And it was vomiting at me. Food. And so, yeah, I don't know. I find it very irritating that he thinks it's okay to just short us like that. And then you want to try something, and then he'd be like, well, I mean, I don't think that's technically within the rules, and I try to follow the rules of the book. Yeah, sure you do, dude. Every week, you change something. Anyways, that was our session last week. We should have gone up our level. We did not. The other thing I wanted to talk about, now that I've used it the whole time complaining about D&D, was I watched a Spanish series on HBO Max called Paradise. It was alright. I thought it'd be something more like Stranger Things. I mean, there was nothing in it to say this is Stranger Things. It's just that it was a show about kids, and it said they found a supernatural thing about their town. I was like, oh, like Stranger Things. That was my thought process there, and it was not. It was not. It was it was a ghost story, I guess, mixed in with some supernatural. I wish you'd stop attacking from this side. Nope. Another one of those spitters, man. The premise was three girls who were about 15. Things got a little shady with ages in this show. I say about 15 because they said that all the people who've been kidnapped were 15, but then they, I'm pretty sure, kidnapped someone who was younger than 15 to use in their ceremony. So I'm not clear on the age thing, if they were actually 15 or not, regardless of what they said at one point in the show. Because the I don't know how old the main kids were, but it was his older sister got kidnapped, the main kid, and then there were some other kids his age. I mean, they're all teenagers, but some people his age that they kidnapped one of them, and so clearly they can't both be his sister's age and his age and all be 15 because they weren't twins. I don't think. Honestly, I'm pretty sure they kept showing a kid. I don't know where that kid came from. I was very confused because there's an extra kid in the show, and I don't know where they were at. I missed that part. And maybe I don't know. So anyways, what happened was there's some people who can drain life energy from people. Oh no, they've busted up my blade trap. And so they drain life essence from teenagers to let them live forever, basically. But they have to keep doing it, and so every every 3 years they kidnap 3 teenagers, and then they drain those teenagers of life somehow. The show was not clear. Um, there was a ceremony. They showed the ceremony, so they clearly were going to drown the 3 girls at the end. Um, and they all were in a pool together. So clearly that was involved, but I mean, they did not explain, you know, there wasn't any real like ceremony to the ceremony. There was some weird stuff and it just never got explained. Like they kidnapped the girls, they kept the girls until the ceremony, and then they fed the girls bugs. That was their meal, like locust and mealworms, basically. And but they don't explain why. And but anyways, the main kids, they went and found a. I want to say they found a ticket about how the sister was going to a concert for her favorite band, because the police and everybody were saying that they had run away. And so the kid went back to this nightclub, which was the last place his sister was seen. And him and his friends, there were 4 of them there, and they found a tunnel hidden in a freezer in the place, and so someone followed them there and killed them to keep it quiet, and they turned into ghosts, and the whole rest of the movie for them was basically wandering around as ghosts, trying to figure out what was going on. And what's really weird is, like, the whole show was them as ghosts, but they don't really do anything. There's a police officer who figures it out, and then the father of the main kid and one of the girls that got kidnapped figured it out. And the only time the kid really, I guess there's like 3 things the kids do. Basically, the main kid, he rips the map with his angry ghost powers to show his father that yes, the dam was the place he needed to search. But then his father went to the dam and they'd already moved the girls from there, and he just got knocked out and woke up in a bathtub. So I guess they were trying to make him think that he had imagined the whole thing, because they had cleaned out the dam by that point. So even him showing his father that yes, the dam is where the girls were being kept didn't help anybody. And then at the very end of the show, when they were doing the ceremony, the power's out, and so with the power out, the bad guys have more power, and because they can't see the kids in the light for whatever reason, and so that that officer zombie just went inside that building. I shot him a couple times, and then he's just, or he's jumping up and down behind the building. I'm not sure what he's doing. I wanted to make sure I took him out before he ruined things. And then he's not even gonna come play. Oh man, another blade trap down. Well, I guess we move to the back corner then. Run out blade traps. And so, some of the kids got the power to come back on, the ghost kids, and they killed one of the bad guys because the bad guys could physically interact with the ghosts as well. I'm not sure if I thought that they were draining power from the ghosts, but now I'm not certain because the one kid was supposed to have unlimited energy, who was a ghost. He was prophesied. This is what makes this show so weird for me. And then at the very end, him in the main, he gets in the pool with the bad guys and unleashes his energy in an attempt to kill them. And I think he kills most of them, but the main bad guy, who only shows up at the very end and doesn't really say or do anything, he seems to survive. And that was it. That was all the ghost kids did, really, was look around a lot but not actually solve anything. There was a girl who could see ghosts who did more in the little bit that she was involved. So basically they were used to explain a little bit about ghosts and the revenants, as they were calling the people who were sucking people's lives. But yeah, it was alright. I didn't think it was amazing. Like I said, it needed more information. Okay. Somebody spit at me. There you are. I think my police officer guy. I just need him to stand still long enough so I can... Okay, he's down. But it was very, like, the ghosts didn't do anything. They barely explained why they were ghosts. I mean, no, I know why they were ghosts, because they were killed, but they barely explained, like, what's the point? Why couldn't they leave the area? They tried to leave the area and they just kept reappearing. When they get the signal, they're supposed to move on, and the signal apparently comes from this telephone booth, but they don't explain any of that, and they don't really explain how the Revenants got their powers, and they don't... honestly, I think you could have done the show without the ghost kids. I think it probably would have been just as fine if it was just the police officer and the father of one of the kidnapped girls. And then there's this whole story mixed in with all that from one of the other characters who was still alive, the girl who was the same age as the ghost kids, who got kidnapped to replace the one girl who died. One of the kidnapped girls escaped and then jumped off the dam where they were being held to get away, and died in the river. And so the girl that was kidnapped to replace her, because they have to have three, she found out that her mother and the main ghost kid's mother were friends, and they died together, and so her father hates the kid and the kid's father, but they never explain that. They both also worked at the organization where the Revenants come from, and they never explain that. So I don't know if there's going to be a season 2, because the kids, who are ghosts, get in the phone booth at the end and vanish, I think. And so I would have liked all the conspiracy stuff that they were doing explained. There are no explanations. Like fine, the signal is just the kids going to the afterlife, fine. I don't really need an explanation for that part, but I would like to understand the Revenants and the organization with the Revenants a little more than, hey, we went through these tunnels and we found them doing their ceremony, and all they did was lower the 3 girls into the pool to drown, while they also knelt in the pool because they don't breathe. And they got a thing with water. They show the Revenants in, like, completely submersed in bathtubs all the time in the show. Yeah, so it was alright. I just wish there was more explanation. Alright, with that, I'm going to call it a day. So be bearing the small things, lean to the light, and I will talk to you later.